Chapter 9. Eva leaves home. Eva remained at St. Elmo for a few days and attended services, also doing some personal work by visiting in the homes of some of her acquaintances. Many doors were opened to her that had heretofore been closed to any form of religious worship, and calls for cottage prayer meetings were given so that the good pastor and his workers were kept busy. Many showers of refreshing from the presence of God were felt in these meetings, and a number of souls were saved. Eva moved out and was used of the Lord in many ways. She became powerful in prayer and exhortation. Few sinners could resist her pleadings as she entreated them to be reconciled to their God. On Sunday evening, the last evening of her stay with the Mills family, they all went to the little chapel for services. As they were walking along, Eva remarked to Sister Mills that she had had a peculiar burden all afternoon, that it seemed she was unable to cast on the Lord, and inquired of her as to what she thought it might be. "Perhaps the Lord wants you to preach for us tonight," replied Sister Mills. "Brother Mills told me before we left home that he seemed at a loss to know what to deliver to the people tonight. He has not been able to get any special thoughts for a message for tonight." "Me preach!" exclaimed Eva. "Oh, sister, you know I am no preacher. I am sure that is not why I am burdened, for the Lord knows how ignorant I am. You know it would not do for me to undertake such a thing. What would the people think of me if I should do such a thing?" Sister Mills laughed but said, "It is not what others think of us that should concern us most, but what the Lord desires us to do, and we need to keep our hearts open to Him. If we move as God wants us to, He will take care of the rest and make it all right with the people." "Yes, but how would I look trying to take Brother Mills' place in the pulpit?" said Eva. "The people are coming tonight expecting to get something to feed their soul. And if I should undertake such a thing, I am sure there would be some disappointed people in St. Elmo tonight, especially after the services would be dismissed." "No, no, sister. I think you have made a wrong guess this time as to what my burden is." Again Sister Mills laughed, but remarked as they entered the chapel door, "My dear, if you should try to preach, you would not be taking Brother Mills' place, but only filling your own. You know there is room for all of us in this great vineyard, in which we are laboring, and each can make a place that will not be robbing another brother or sister." Brother Mills had been some distance in advance of Eva and Sister Mills, and as they entered the chapel they saw him going to an adjoining room. He came out some few minutes later, with a very troubled expression upon his face. He seated himself beside his wife, and Eva heard her ask him the question, "What is wrong? Have you not been able to settle yourself on any line of thought for tonight?" Brother Mills sighed heavily and shook his head. "Perhaps he is trying to see if you will be as instant out of season as you are in season," said she. "This may be an out-of-season time." Brother Mills smiled at this remark, and Eva said, "Oh, do not worry, you know the Lord does not fail, and I am sure He will give you a message in time." "Of this thing I am sure," replied Brother Mills. "My Lord will give me a message if He does not see fit, and think it best to give it to someone else." And with this remark he stepped into the pulpit and announced the opening hymn. Some time was spent in song service and in prayer, and as the hour hand on the clock pointed to 8, Brother Mills sat down and said, "Well, it is time for the word, and I do not want to stand in the way of anyone." As he spoke these words, something stole over Eva such as she had never known before. She rose to her feet, and as she did so, it seemed she could see a countless number of people before her moving steadily toward a dark abyss. She opened her mouth to cry out and knew nothing more until she again glanced at the clock and saw it was 8:45. She saw, too, that she was in the pulpit with her Bible open lying on the pulpit stand. She then saw Brother and Sister Mills sitting there with tears streaming down their faces, while a number of the saints were on their feet praising God. Others, too, were weeping. She was unable to understand it all, and turning to Sister Mills she said, "What is wrong? Have I been intruding and have got in the way of someone else?" "No, no, no, child. I should say you have not been intruding. You have been giving us God's word, and we are wanting some more just like it." Eva sat down and leaning her head upon Sister Mills' shoulder wept like a little child. Brother Mills then gave the invitation for those who desired to seek the Lord to come forward, and a number bowed at the altar for prayer, among them the young man who had brought the roll of papers to Eva some few days before. As Eva stepped out of the door that evening, she was confronted by their family physician, who grasped her hand and said, Eva, I will have to say again that you are a wonder. No, doctor, replied Eva. I am no wonder, but my Christ is wonderful. Eva returned to the Mills home. She spent the night with them, and the next afternoon they took her to her own home. News travels fast, and the services of the previous evening had already reached the Grant family. And Eva confronted a very angry parent. He forbade brother and sister Mills's entering the yard, and told Eva she should never again visit them, and that she must either give up her crazy religion or leave home and never return, for he would have no one of his family stay around him and make such a fool of themselves as she had done the previous night. After speaking some encouraging words to Eva and telling her that they would pray for her brother and sister Mills drove away. Eva had seen her father angry many times before, and had heard him make many threats while angry that she knew he did not mean, and never carried out, and she thought that possibly his anger would abate after a few weeks, and she could again have the privilege of attending services. She took care that she did not mention the name of the Lord in his presence, or speak of anything pertaining to religion. She was also unusually kind to him in every way that she could be. Her kindness reached also to her stepmother, who now could not find so much to abuse Eva about, as she was now doing her share of the work about the house. One Sunday in late September, the Rhodes family drove up in their automobile and asked Eva to go home with them for a few days, to which she replied, "You will have to get Papa's permission, for he has not let me leave the place for a number of weeks." "Surely we will get his permission," said Mr. Rhodes. And stepping from the car, he advanced toward Mr. Grant, who was standing in the yard. "We thought we would drive by and see if Eva could not come and spend a few days with us. May she?" said Mr. Rhodes as he extended his hand to Mr. Grant. The proffered hand was ignored, and Mr. Grant confronted him with an angry scowl. Pointing to the car, he said, "You get in your machine and get away from here, and I don't want to see you about here again. The sooner you leave, the better satisfied I will be. It is such folks as you that have helped to put such nonsense in her head, that the devil himself can't do anything with her. She is not going with you now, nor ever so long as she makes this her home." "Please, Papa," said Eva, "let me go with them. I am sure that there will be no harm done in letting me go to spend a few days with old neighbors. And I am not needed so much here, am I?" "No, you are not needed so much here with your crazy religion," retorted Mr. Grant. "And you either give that up, or you give up your home, for I do not mean to stand for any such stuff to be carried on here." Then turning to Mr. Rhodes, he said, "The sooner you leave, the better pleased I will be." Eva burst into tears as Mr. Rhodes turned and walked away. They drove a short distance down the road. Then he related his interview to the family, and stopping the car, they all wept together. They were weeping with those that wept, and also asking God to give her freedom, that she might serve him in the way her heart desired. The next morning, Eva packed her scanty wardrobe in a small suitcase, and going to her father said, "Papa, I have made my choice. I love you with all the love a daughter can have for a father, but I love my Christ more than anything in this world. I should like to stay with you, for you know I need a home, and this is the only one that I have, but I can't give up my Christ. You cannot destroy my love for you, and I shall never cease to pray for you. I want you to remember that each evening before I retire, I shall ask God to bless you and care for you, and you can go to sleep with this thought: Eva has prayed for me, and if you ever need me in any way, let me know." "All right," said Mr. Grant, "but you be sure that you do not bother around until I send for you, will you?" "I shall try to, Papa," said Eva, "but there is one thing that I ask permission to do before I leave. I want to read something to you, may I?" "Go ahead and read all you want to." "But I mean what I have said," replied her father. "You either straighten up and act like someone who has a little sense, or you leave. Now take your choice." "I have already made my choice," said Eva, "but this is what I want to read to you." Opening her little testament, she read Matthew 19:29. "And everyone that hath forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold, and shall inherit everlasting life." "Papa," said she, "that is what I am doing. I am not forsaking you because I do not love you, or want to get away from you, but I am going that I might serve my Christ. And I am resting on that promise that he will give me 100 homes, and 100 parents to care for me." "Well, don't think that I shall run after you," said her father, "and do not squeal when you get short of funds either, for you know what you can do. My funds will never be any shorter than they are now, replied Eva, for I am leaving without 1 penny in my purse, but I mean to trust God, and I am sure that He will take care of me. Throwing her arms about her father's neck, she kissed him on the cheek and said, "Goodbye, Papa, someday I am sure that you will send for me." Then putting on her hat, and lifting her suitcase that contained all her belongings, she passed out of the gate and started down the road. How heavy her heart was, although conscious of God's presence. She walked on some distance, when turning for a look she burst into tears. Calling upon God, she received strength, and soon went on her way, singing the praises of God. "I am now as my Savior was," said she, as she trudged along the dusty highway that September morning. "For He said, the foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man hath not where to lay His head, and that is my condition also. As He has gone the way before me, He will know how to care for me, and I am going trusting in Him." As she reached the brow of a hill some distance from her home, she stopped, and looked back for a last long look. Poor girl, she did not know how long it would be, nor under what conditions she would again enter its portals.